Well, hey there, courage. Daily Scare Share, day 398. 398 days in a row. I've hopped on and shared with you from the book, Do One Thing a Day That Scares You. Whatever the activity, whatever the saying, whatever the topic is that triggers our thinking on not being afraid, how we can stretch our comfort zone, how we can stretch out of the things that we think we're afraid of, because most of the things that we're afraid of or scared to death of or terrified of are things that we just make up in our own mind. And today is, it's 2 days of the dreaded blank line days, like I called them last year. And they say one little phrase and then they're blank. Now, what I discovered at the end of the year, which took me almost the whole year to figure out, is that for each of the dreaded blank line 2 days, there's a saying that goes along with it. And the saying that goes along with it and the question that's asked on the blank line days is to trigger more thinking and deeper thinking on the quote or the saying on the adjacent page. I don't know why I didn't figure it out sooner, but I didn't. I didn't figure it out till like the end of the book. And I used to stress out over these blank lines. And I finally learned about, I don't know, a quarter way in that I would go find a card or a saying or a phrase from a book that would trigger my thinking. And that would be the topic of the day's daily scare share. Well, since I figured this out, we'll do it the way I'm doing it now. It says, handy dandy magnifying glass, courage, because we're talking all about courage. Courage is resistance to fear, mastery of fear, not absence of fear. Mark Twain wrote this a gazillion years ago, and it's a pretty famous saying because so often we think that courage and bravery is overcoming fear and just mastering it, but it's not. It's just, well, it is mastering our fear. It's overcoming our fear, but not really overcoming it. We still feel the fear, but we do it anyway. It's our resistance to that fear, our pushing it away and knowing that action is the one true way to eliminate our fear because it proves to ourselves that we really didn't have anything to be afraid of. The worst that we thought could possibly happen, the worst that we were sure was going to happen, almost never actually happens. It almost never actually occurs. So today, the challenge is to, I gotta see this. Today I mastered this fear. And so it wants us to go about our day and find a fear that we can master. So I already wrote one down. I wrote down the fear I'm going to master today is the fear of exercising and owning my personal power. Exercising and owning my personal power. Well, first I have to identify a situation where I'm not living up to what I'm capable of. I don't have any trouble coming up with those. I can think of about 100 right off the top of my head. But I'm going to pick one particular situation where I'm not standing up for myself. I'm not acknowledging, exercising, and expanding my personal power. I'm just going with the flow of what someone else thinks is the way things have to be, and it's totally not right for me. Now, that person thinks it's 100% right, of course, because we always think what we think is right. Or we wouldn't think it, right? We wouldn't think it if we didn't think it was right. So I have had resistance, massive resistance or fear to exercising my personal power, my belief about this situation and how it needs to be dealt with. So today I will muster up the courage to resist my fear of exercising my personal power, standing up for what I believe is right in this particular situation, and owning and taking steps to make sure that I'm heard and that my perspective is also taken into consideration for the situation, not just steamrolled over and do what somebody else thinks is right when I know 100% that it's not the right thing for me. And it's easier sometimes to just roll over and not exercise our personal power and then just deal with what happens and the consequences and how we want to react to the situation. But that is a prime example of not being courageous, not mastering our fear, and not standing up for ourselves by exercising our personal power. So today I'm going to be exercising my personal power. Probably going to cause some drama and strife, but you know what? I know that I need to. I need to stand up for myself in this situation, just like we all need to stand up for ourselves in every situation. And that takes courage. It takes some mastery of fear. It takes some knowing that standing up for ourselves, we might always not get what we want, and the situation might not be exactly what we want, but we will at least have stood up for ourselves and spoken and let it be known that we didn't agree with something. And it's always okay to not agree with something. It doesn't mean things will go our way. It just means we have honored ourselves by being courageous and speaking our mind and letting the world know that we know that what we think and what we feel and how we act matters and counts. So that's it. If you understood that cryptic message at all today, the point is stretch your comfort zone. Don't be afraid. Know that whatever happens, you will meet the challenge. You've got this always, every day. So don't be scared. And of course, I will be with you tomorrow.